you, but also like how it lands for other people, like in their real life. And I
Mhm.
imagine that there's a lot of women out there who maybe had the one that got away,
Yeah.
or the one they always kind of wonder about.
Yeah.
When do you think spinning the block is okay?
I think it's okay when it's genuine and the feelings are sincere, and you've grown. You can't be spinning the block and hitting your head on the same curb. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to grow from whatever the problem was earlier. You have to grow from that and mature and understand each other, have a mutual respect. And
I love this answer by Ashanti because I think it really does encapsulate exactly the only reason, one of the few reasons why you can spin the block. I don't really like spinning the block per se, but if you are going to spin the block, the key word is there has to be change and growth. Why? Because you don't want to be in the same place you were the last time you guys were in a relationship. So let's give you a couple of reasons as to why people actually spin the block. We're going to listen a bit more to this interview, and Ashanti's going to tell us more about her reasons as to why she spun the block with Nelly. And then it will hopefully be able to help you guys along that way. Because some of you are probably asking the question, can I spin the block? And I'm going to tell you this now. Most of you should not be spinning the block. Most of you should be spinning in 180 degrees and go in the other direction. Okay, don't do 360 now, because then you got to go all the way right back around to where you were. Okay, all right, let's listen a bit more.
I think that's what made it special for us. You know what I mean? Like, obviously we both dealt with other people, and then you start to see things too, like, damn, I guess it wasn't so bad.
And I think that's a key point there. The reality of the situation is people spin the block because they couldn't find no better, right? Couldn't find no better. All right. And there's nothing wrong with that, because in reality, like I said, there might have been a right person for you, just not the right necessarily time. And a lot of people actually encountered those particular situations where they're like, I was too immature at that point to really grasp the gravity of our relationship or grasp the things that you're trying to tell me. And I think that's happened with Ashanti and Nelly. There was unfinished business. They were always meeting each other at different points, but never really was it clicking, right? The emotions were still there, the feelings were still there, but they just weren't the right timing. Now, I think there's also some comfort knowing that the person that you're spinning the block with, you have a good relationship with, you had fun, you enjoyed yourselves, the sex was good, because let's be honest, these people are going to, like, that's where Shanti goes on later on in the interview to talk about the fact that the sex was good. That's a major spin the block. And I've always said this specifically for women too, that most women are sexually loyal, okay, a lot of times to the one that be hitting it the best. So they spin that block on the one that can hit it and quit it correctly. You get what I'm saying to you? So it makes it easier to come back to that level of comfort and familiarity, especially when the sex is one of the best that you've ever hated. Okay. All right. But again, the change and the growth is really important in that aspect. Let's have a little bit of some more.
What I had was actually pretty great.
Yeah, so it's like,
Sometimes you got to go out and kiss a few frogs.
Absolutely.
And that's a key point too, right? That as you go out and you get to have comparative experiences, you might realize that actually you had it better at home. As we would say, there's rice at home. And sometimes you don't realize that your relationship that you had previously was actually a really good relationship, that you were actually in a really good space. You guys had something. And then it takes you going outside sometimes to be able to see inward into what you had. Because a lot of times when you're in it, it's hard to see. When you're out of it, you're like, oh, you know what, that wasn't so bad. Or you might look and go, oh, that was really bad. So sometimes that outer perspective really does help in comparison as well.
Absolutely.
That's so funny. And it worked out, man. What have you learned about marriage?
What I've learned about
I mean, it's fresh, right? Like, you're not even like a year, or is it?
No, we are a year and change.
Okay,
a year and change.
Now, shout out to them, because also the other aspect of them spinning the block, I was like, she better not spin the block and then get a baby and not get married, because like you wanted to be married, right? That was your goal and that was what you actually wanted. So another thing about spinning the block is, do you have your wants and needs, and do you know, and can you enforce that? Can you be assertive about your needs now? Can you be assertive about what you want? Can you be assertive about where you want to be? Can you be assertive about this thing working for you? See, oftentimes people might spin the block and haven't changed the trajectory of their life. You haven't worked on your self-development. And so actually you're spinning back into where you were previously, the same spot, without there being any newness of information. Are you more honest? Are you more determined? Are you more ambitious? Are you more assertive? Are you more calmer now? Are you what's changed? What's grown? What's renewed? Because you can't go back into that same thing with the same old mindset. Putting old wineskin into putting old wine into new wineskin, the wineskin will burst. And putting new wine into old wineskin, it gonna burst. That's biblical. That ain't me. That's Jesus. Okay, so sometimes, yes, the nostalgia and the selective memory will cause people to go into relationships once again. But what will take you out of it is that when your memory is then replugged and then it's triggered and it's like, oh, I remember you were like this. Ah, this is why I didn't want to be with you. Then that will take you out. So there has to be growth of that as well. All right, don't fear being alone and that it won't, in the future, who will love me? Da, da, da. That's why I can't leave that person. You must do the work. When you do the work and you grow and expand and you heal, you'll realize that actually maybe this person coming back around the block, you can see them better for who they actually are. They are the one for you, or they're not the one for you. You know what I mean?
Change.
They say the first year is the hardest, or the best of the
Yes.
hardest. It's like you're working through all the things that you gotta,
Yeah.
you're positioning on things. And
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think for us, it's like a respect thing, and I feel like that's what took him a long time to be ready.
Ooh, and I can't wait to this. I'm gonna do a part 2 on this because I'm actually doing a whole series on my other channel, Dark Art Podcast, about this very topic here, about what takes men longer to marry women, because there are certain things that women do that that delay the process. Now there are issues with men as well because they do things that are delaying the process, but there's things that women do that delay this issue, and where she's going to next is that delay.
To be married, because it's a whole different level of respect and honor and loyalty and just selflessness. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to figure out, oh yeah, we had some arguments. Yeah, we had some. But the thing too is like, you can get mad all you want. You ain't going nowhere. You know what I mean? It's like we work things out, and you don't cross that line. Like when you're girlfriend and boyfriend, you could do whatever. But when you're married, there's a line of respect that you don't cross. And it's prominent for both of us. You know what I mean?
I love the fact they're saying that there's a line that you can't cross when you are married. I think there's a line you can't cross when you're dating. I think you start as you mean to go on. Like, of course, there are slight differences, but I mean, you start to go on, you practice it in your dating, if you want to call it, or your courting stages, that there are certain arguments, I can't allow it to go that particular distance. As if you followed me long enough, I say this, like, I don't think men should argue with women. I'm not arguing with you. And the reason why I'm not arguing with you is because when it's an argument, it's very different to a disagreement. If we're disagreeing, we are still calm, we're level-headed, we're having conversations, you're saying your point, I'm saying my point. But if I notice that it's getting to a decibel level or our energies are beginning to get too hyped because we're getting frustrated to that point, I'm ending a conversation there. Hey, look, it's got too much. Let's end it here. Let's come back again. And the reason being is because most of the time when you get to that place where you are so heightened in your emotions that you stop listening anyway. And now it's just about winning. And now it's just about, you need to hear me. And it's like, okay, wait, hold on. You're going to trigger me, I'm going to trigger you. You're going to get defensive, I'm going to get defensive. And then no one's going to get heard, and we actually ain't going to get nowhere. It will end up being a waste of time. But what will end up happening is we wasted time, wasted energy, but what we would have accrued is resentment. And you don't want to be in that space. So I say to men, don't waste your time having arguments with women. Yes, disagree. That is a level-headed conversation where we are not seeing eye to eye. But the moment you start going to arguments, trust me, you are going to regret it every single time. Because her feelings cannot be beaten. She will always remember how she felt.
I think that's what I have learned.
Okay, so then you get pregnant. By the way, you wasted no time. You were like, we're gonna get right back to this. You having a baby.
Yes.
This was you when the last time you did the show, I said to you, so what's next in your life? And you were like, I think I want to make time to like be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe you were like, you were even before deciding that you got.
Of course, she spoke about obviously having babies as well. I want to even get to the point where
I didn't know what was gonna happen. You know what I mean? So I genuinely was ready and speaking from a real place. And you make yourself vulnerable. I was vulnerable because I really didn't know. I was like, I'm putting it out there. You know what I mean? And
when you would say that out loud.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, she did really put it out loud. She said it quite a couple of times, Ashanti, around having a child, not only having a child, but being married as well, right? She put it out there a couple of times. I did a whole video about it previously. She did it a few times. So if they were spinning the block, he needed to do this. I said this because otherwise it'll be a betrayal of you, Ashanti, right? And that's one thing you have to learn as well, people, is that don't betray yourself. You have a set of values, core values that you expect to live your life by. You want to be married, you want kids. Do that. Don't change it because that man, he's a great man, I'm going to do it differently. No. Because the moment you, betray yourself is a moment that the betrayal will come back to bite you in your head. And whenever there's betrayal, there's what we call treason. In your kingdom, your queendom, when you betray yourself, it's treason. So off with your head. So guess what's going to happen? Heads are going to roll. And it's going to be your own head in this relationship.
I thought maybe you had somebody in the stash.
No.
Or somebody you were thinking about, or you were just ready to, putting yourself out there. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you always got a little in the stash. Not no more. Not when you married.
No, not when you're
Not when you're married.
You don't even
Not when you're married, indeed. But listen, I want to leave it there because I don't want to go to videos for too long. But I think the more important thing is if you are spinning the block, make sure there is growth. Make sure you guys are doing things differently. Make sure that there is, that you guys have established rules of engagement when it comes to arguments. Make sure you guys are knowing what your boundaries are, what your wants and what your needs are. These are things that should be established so that you know what our core values are as well, and whether we actually can make this work in the future. But hey, listen, shout out to Ashanti and Nelly. They proved me wrong because I said I don't know if it's gonna work. I don't know, but he did what he needed to do. He did what she wanted, which was to be married, and then they're gonna start having kids. Fantastic. I've had they had kids, sorry, right? That's what needs to happen. She held on to the boundary and stuck to it, and now look where we are. I appreciate her, and I appreciate that as well. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate you.